Hi guys, it's Rose. When I started to go film this video, all of my lighting fell down, so I had to refix it.
Oh, here we go, walking, talking like you know I want your pretty little psycho.
This crazy shit happened to me, and I needed to tell you guys. Me and my friend, I'll call her Sarah. I called my friend Sarah to pick me up to bring me to work because my work's like a mile away from my house and I don't have a car. She comes to pick me up and we have a good 40 minutes before my work even starts. So she comes gets me and we decide to go get coffee. Me and her never do. Like during the school year, we usually would go get Starbucks for lunch or something, but during the summer we didn't really do much at all. We'd usually hang out at her house and watch Supernatural or something. So we go to the Starbucks that's in the Smiths in where I live. And we order our drinks or whatever and we sit down with them. And me and her are talking, and she's talking about financially for school because she has to go to college soon. And I'm talking about how I really need a car because I keep having to ask her for rides and just basic stuff. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy with okay, so I tried to look it up to see what it's called and I still can't figure it out, but it's those little, okay, a lot of Jewish people wear them and they're the little hats that sit on the back of their head right here. Anyway, he had one of those and I glanced over at him just curiously. I didn't stare at him or anything, and then looked back because someone with dreads had walked by or something. And I'm a huge fan of dreads, in case you didn't know. And then so me and Sarah continue talking, and then she claims that I kept looking at him out of the corner of my eye, which I may have been, but I honestly don't remember. And suddenly someone is this close to my face, talking very quickly and what seems to be angrily in a different language. And so obviously I turned my head confused, and Sarah said that my eyes were bulging out of my head, what's going on. So I look over and I'm just listening to it and I'm just okay. I was alright, and he was that was a prayer or a blessing or something, and I was oh, okay. He was oh, by the way, you look just like your mom, but you're a little shorter, or she's a little shorter. And I was okay, because I knew he didn't know my mom. My mom, or my biological mom, lives 3.5 hours away, and she's never been part of Jewish religion or whatever. So then for me and Sarah look at each other oh my god, what does this guy want? And someone comes up and is talking to him for a second, and me and her are sitting at this table and she's sitting across from me, and he talks to them for a second, and me and her are kind of talking, just trying to not feel awkward basically. And he starts talking to us again, and he's oh, I'm a rabbi, which I had no idea what that was, but I figured it was something religious. And was oh yeah, I'm reincarnated from Israel. I'm a seer. He goes on to tell me that my plans are going to work out, and things are going to be okay, and that I don't need to worry about my car, I'm going to get help getting that. Which I was at first what do you mean? How do you know about that? And then I thought about it later and was thinking that maybe he had heard me talking about it. And so that made sense, but then he started to go into things that me and Sarah hadn't even been talking about. So he continues to tell me things that are going to happen to me and to her as well. And he brings up my boyfriend. And I hadn't been talking about my boyfriend at all, since we'd even been in the store or the parking lot or anything. There's no way he could have heard anything about him. And he is oh, by the way, the guy you're with, he's the one. And I'm just kind of taken back, okay. And he's like, I know you can be like a handful sometimes. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And he's like, yeah, and you totally got your heart broken by the last two guys you were with. I thought about it, and I was like, I've only ever been in like two other serious relationships, and like in the end, like it was pretty awful. Like one of them was super abusive, and the other one, like, that's a long story. I was like really confused, but like still not knowing how to react. Like I was just so shocked at that point that I couldn't even be like impressed or like interested because I was just in awe. And he goes on to like tell my friend Sarah that like she doesn't need to worry about the finances, which we were talking about once again. So I figured he must have heard it. But then he was like, you also don't need to worry about math, which she later on told me that she had told nobody, that she was like terrified of going into college math because it's always been something that she struggled with. And so tells her, hey, you're moving soon, aren't you? You're going to be moving within the next like 180 days and you can't wait to get out of this town. Which kind of made sense. Like she is moving in a few weeks to go to college in like a different state, but like I'm the one that's going to be moving within 180 days because I'm moving at the end of this year. So like I felt like that made more sense for me and that it could have been mixed up or something, but I have no idea how like it worked in his head. So anyway, he says that and just tells her like, you're going to be okay, you're beautiful, like I know you're down on yourself all the time, and like just goes into like some really deep personal stuff like that. And then is like, I wasn't even going to come in today, but or wear my like whatever the hat's called, I don't remember, but he was like, but my wife told me that two daughters were going to need help. And I was like, okay, you're kind of crazy, but whatever. And then, like he like goes on his way and like wishes us good luck or whatever. And me and Sarah are just like staring at each other like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? And so I'm like on the edge of tears, like just from shock and like confusion, and like she is too. So I'm like laughing hysterically, like halfway between like crying and laughing. And we like get out to her car, and then like she took me to work, and we were like, we have to make a video on this, which I was gonna make this video with her. We talked about it, and it was like definitely one of the craziest things that have ever happened to me. Like this is something that you like read about or something, or is in a movie. Give you guys updates on that. Other than that, as I said, this is my first story time, and obviously I don't have like a proper background or anything, and my lighting is crazy, and my face is super washed out right now. Like, I don't even know how much I'd have to back up to like... See, that looks kind of normal. Just kidding. Not really.
Thank you for watching. Sorry about quality. I realized that the audio did not always match up with what the actual video appeared to be saying. It's because I used a lower quality camera than I normally do. In the future, I can get that problem fixed or use another camera. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, Rosalberry, as well as Babe Bree. Follow me on my social media, which is listed below.